Luke Duncan, Chairman of the Ute Indian Tribe. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Luke Duncan. I'm the chairman of the Ute Indian Business Committee in northeastern Utah, Ute Indian Tribe. And I thank you all for the opportunity on behalf of my people, the Ute people. Thank you. And we ask for your attention to 4 issues that fall under the area of tribal government and human services today. These are education, housing, justice services, energy, development. Out of these areas, tribal government and human services are directly impacted by your funding decisions. Most important, the subcommittee must start a new effort to prioritize and fund Indian education through tribally run schools. We ask that you remove the moratorium on Bureau of Indian Education funding for new schools and create a new source of funding for tribally run schools. This funding is needed to fulfill the United States Treaty and trust responsibility for the education of our youth. Currently, 2% of our tribal youth go to public or state public schools, and only 8% go to BIE schools, which are boarding schools. No matter what school they go to, 100% of our youth are taught according to federal and state standards. We on the reservation, we started a charter school, and we all know that the funding goes directly to the states from BIE. And from there, there's a head count of our native students. And the funding all goes to there. And we've witnessed on our reservation where a lot of our children, after the head count is taken, they are moved away from the majority of students. They end up in our charter school that we established on the reservation. And they end up there. It's a self-paced school. And our school on the reservation is not just for tribal members. There's non-tribal members there as well that graduate with our students. And like I always say, I'm proud to say, we are the warriors. And when they graduate with us, the non-natives, they are warriors too when they leave our school. And I'm glad to say that just last weekend, our team, our ladies, girls team, won state. And very proud of them. But I think it's very important. Almost all our children go to state schools and are taught federal and state standards. These state schools are modern-day boarding schools to us. This unlawful delegation of federal treaty and trust responsibility to the states enriches state school budgets, as I mentioned. The states even keep the funding after our children are removed and sent home for whatever reasons, behavior problems, whatever they come up with, and they are removed. Children are constantly called in with their parents and try to address the issue, and in the end, they end up leaving. Aside from BIE's limited budget, all federal funding for the education of tribal youth goes to the states. As I mentioned, the federal government must stop funding states to educate our youth according to state standards. It's very important now to our people, and I live on the reservation. And we do not want them to get further away from the culture as it did in the boarding school era. We want them to know who they are. We've lost enough of our children that way. Identity is lost, and we don't want to do that anymore. So we're asking today that the funding be increased for tribally owned schools. And also with that, I'd like to say that, yes, they could be funded through the BIE and for tribal schools and only. Also, the tribe, we had a justice center that was outdated and condemned more or less about 10 years ago. The tribe put money into a new center, almost $36 million of our own funds to build one, and it was built. And it sits on the reservation now, and the BIA is more or less controlling that now because we don't have the funding to run that, enough funding. So we'd like to ask for additional funding to help us with that. And also one issue I'd like to bring up is housing. As we all know, we have the housing problems on the reservations, and we have 3 or 4 generations under one roof. And we'd like to see that increase to where our homes can be built there for our people. And finally, we'd like to ask your support for Indian energy development on the reservations. We are an energy tribe. And we asked you to protect funding for the Department of Energy's Tribal Energy Loan Guarantee Program. This is the only federal program that helps tribes access capital for commercial-scale energy products. Despite this energy dominance agenda, the President has eliminated this program, or trying to, and we ask you to support us and keep that there, if you would. I'd like to say at this time, thank you very much for allowing me to testify in front of you. Thank you.